Welcome, welcome to this Gump report, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have such spectacular, amazing debates about pro wrestling. Really? Welcome to the Gump report. You never know what you're going to get, and this is about the TBS title, what they're going to do with it, what I think they're going to do with it, and what I would like them to do with it. Now, on this Dynamite, they have basically put a new title out, the TBS title. We all thought it was going to be for the men, but in actuality, it's the women's title. And they clarified it that it's a secondary title, like an IC title for the women. Great! That makes me happy. It's not like the WWE, where they got two titles on two brands of their company that basically are equal, and they don't book them right at all. Neither title feels important because neither women feel important because they don't book the women right. Now, you have a main title and a mid-card title. You can have the main title like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and not Shawn Michaels, but Ultimate Warrior type of title. And then you have the workhorse title, which could have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which can have Shawn Michaels, which can have Bret Hart. The ones who really do the work compared to the ones who give the spectacle. But here's the major problem we're going to have. Where the fuck are the women? We have to have enough women to make this look good, guys. This is what people don't understand. I know there's a lot of people that's going to be saying this is the most greatest thing for women's wrestling. And in a sense, it is. You now have a main title and a mid-card title. That has never been done. Not in Impact Wrestling. Not in WWE. I don't believe not in the MLW. Nowhere, as far as I know, other than outside the country, that there have been a mid-card title and a main title. Well, mid-card and main. I don't think there's ever been one in the United States. At least not put on national television. Nothing in ECW, nothing in WCW. I've never heard it. Now, if you have, tell me below. If it was in WWE, if it was Impact Wrestling, which I know they never did. They had the main Knockouts title, they had the tag titles, but they never really went there much with the women other than those two titles. Now, if there was a third title, you guys tell me below, because I wasn't seeing a lot of Impact, so I could have missed an extra title they had. But pretty much, this is the first time any major promotion has two titles that are at different tiers publicly. WWE doesn't say that the SmackDown title and the Raw title actually have tiers. They never say it officially. They say that their champions are equal, when basically they're not equal because neither champion feels important. Here they clearly define that you got the main title and you got a second tier title, which is great. But you must remember that we need several things to make this work. First thing, women must be seen. You can't just have the same mainstay of women that are from Dynamite, which is Britt Baker, which would be Rebel, the sexy Rebel. Then you got the female Hager that is with them. Then you have Jade Cargill. You got Ruby Soho. You got Red Velvet. You got Chris Statlander. You got Bunny. Then you got Penelope Forbes. Then you got Conchi. Then you got Anna Jay. Those are the main women they always show on Dynamite at one time or another. And I know they've shown Sheeta. I know they've shown Rio. I know they've shown Celia Deeps. I know there's also Thunder Rosa. I know. But those people right now, those are the ones they focused on the most over the last 3 or 4 months. That's what we got. And with Thunder Rosa, she wasn't officially part of the roster at all at the time. And neither was Selena Deeps. Selena wasn't part of the main roster completely. She was just working through NWA, just like Thunder Rosa, until she finally became an official member of the roster. But here's the thing, guys. Even with all those women, you need more than just maybe 12, 13, 14, or 15 women. You need more than 20 women or 25 women to make this mean something. And I know you're going to say, dude, are you crazy? No, I'm not. You got the main title, and now you got a mid-tier title now. The main title is going to have maybe about 5 women there. Like men, we used to, in the golden age of wrestling, usually in the main event, you would have 5 or 6 guys there. You would. You got Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Ultimate Warrior, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You got, who else? Andre the Giant. You got, Davey Boy Smith. Those type of people could have been easily in the main event in this section right here. And I know there was others, but I'm just focusing on that. Then you had the mid-tier, and let's go to the Attitude Era. Before Stone Cold became really popular, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. You got Shawn Michaels, even though he wandered back and forth, he also did it. Triple H also did it. You got the one who shall not be named, and also Kurt Angle. You also had Dean Malenko. You also had the Eddie Guerrero. You had Rey Mysterio Jr. You got a whole bunch of people who were in the mid card to upper card that could go back and forth and could also hit the main event. Right now, we have to have maybe 5 or 6 women here. And the rest got to be at least 15 to 20 women here. If you do not have enough women to fill in both gaps, you're going to start seeing matches that are going to be duplicated over and over again for each title. And sooner or later, it will be becoming very prolific. So I'm saying this very clearly. This is a major problem. One of the major problems, the major problem. They must have enough women to cover for both. If they don't, they are fucked. Because they'll end up like Impact Wrestling. Because you saw what happened during the pandemic. It wasn't just that they had to do taping and they could not bring in more people. Yes, they had to test the people first. Then when they were tested and they were cleared, they could film. It was about not having enough women. They had, about 12 women that were wandering between doing the tag titles and the main title. And the champion went through every woman there. And she literally was boring. And that's Dana Purrazzo. They had to bring in a couple of people to try and supplement, but they didn't do it enough. Now, mind you, it was understandable. It's the pandemic. They couldn't bring in enough women. Also with the tag titles, they could not bring in enough women, so they were repeating every match multiple times because they couldn't get anybody. But let's be honest here. Impact Wrestling, TNA sometimes did duplicate the matches a lot. The beautiful people did multiple matches, repeated over and over again. But they did bring in some women periodically outside to do squash matches with. At least that's from what I remember and what little I remember and whatever I could see. Here, the only way this is going to work is the first one, you got to have women. So you're going to have maybe 15 to 20, at least 20 to 25 women across both tiers. Hopefully, they'll have 20 women. Maybe a minimum of 15. And then the rest have to come from Elevation and come from Dark to fill in the blanks. They must do it. They have to do it. Or this is going to be repetitious so bad that you're going to hate it. Next, booking, which means storylines. They need to have storylines here, and they need to have storylines here. They have to have at least 2 storylines in the main event. That doesn't mean it has to cover the title every single time, but the main eventers have to at least talk about the main title and be there. Then you got the mid card, where you're going to need at least 2, 3 type of storylines to at least show that these people here are also going after the mid card title. Have more people here with stories than up here, because you know that the big stories here is going to get a lot of TV time. It's going to get a lot of pay-per-view time. Say 1 or 2 stories here, and you got 2, 3, maybe 4 stories here, if you can. Because let's be honest, it's very hard to book. You think it's easy. It's not. Not all the time. It counts on the wrestler and on the circumstances that makes the story work with their feud. You got to be able to make it right. So 1 or 2 here. In the main event, where they will easily go for the title, or they're fighting each other before one of them tries to go to the title, where the champion herself is already working on someone there. Then you got the women here. Say about 3, if you can, 3 different storylines, And then you got the champion who's working to defend her title. It doesn't have to be a story every time when it comes to the mid-card champion like it is with the world champion, but you need it. So that's what they need. That's the second one. Third, and this is also highly important, where they go. Where? Because it's important that the champions of the mid-card and main title, they need places to go. And this is where I think it's going to happen. By AEW's decision, I think. Since Turner Network covers for TBS and TNT, the champions can go back and forth between both brands, both networks easily. There shouldn't be a problem. The TNT champion can appear on TBS, and the TBS champion should be able to appear on TNT. There shouldn't be a problem. Rampage is going to be on TNT, and then Dynamite's going to be on TBS. There shouldn't be a problem with them both crossing over periodically. No problem. But let's make this very clear. As much as you want to try and bring both of them swinging over, you must make sure the storylines stick. And this is why I'm worried. Because they'll let the storylines wander between the two shows. Trying to give interest between both shows. That's what I think is going to happen. Also, both titles will be defended at the pay-per-view. That's going to be obvious. Now, well, no, maybe I take that back. I think at least one of the titles will be defended at its own pay-per-view, and then the other one will be defended at its own pay-per-view. There's a good chance they will have them both at a signature pay-per-view. Let's make this clear. Make it clear. They're going to have four. They have 4 pay-per-views a year. They got one signature pay-per-view, like All Out. You got all the other pay-per-views, All In. You got top full gear. Then you have All Out, and I forgot what the last one is, but you get my point. My guess is for the both of them to be together, I think will be at a signature pay-per-view, and the other 3 times will be separate. The champion, the AEW champion, will get 2 pay-per-views, while the TNT champion will get 1. And then they both appear in the signature pay-per-view of AEW. That's what I think they may do. But it's possible that all 4 pay-per-views, they're going to have both titles there, just like the TNT champion and the AEW champion, just like them. Now, here's what I believe should happen, because I kind of elated to it already. This is what I think they should do. They have both titles. They're going to do a tournament for the women eventually. So right now, as it stands, you're going to have 2 tiers. Have 6 women here. And all the others are here. At least 15 women should be in the mid-tier title picture. Have about 3 or 4, if you can fit it, but 3 different stories going on at the same time in the mid-card. 1 or 2 here, but 3 or 4 here. All of it working, and which makes it interesting and makes it important, so TBS can feel important compared to TNT. Have, very rarely, maybe when a pay-per-view is about to happen, have the TBS champion go to Dynamite. That's where it's at a signature pay-per-view. In other words, like All Out. Only once a year, you see the TBS champion on Dynamite. You normally don't see her there. You see her at a pay-per-view. That's where she should stay. Also, the storylines should stay on one show. Rampage. Yes, I know Rampage clearly is a smaller show. It's only 1 hour. They could do 1 or 2 stories quickly, and the rest can be on Elevation. You can promote it. They could easily promote. If you guys want to see the women on the TNT TBS championship title picture, look at Elevation or look at Dark, and you'll see how they're doing. And they show snippets of it, at least 1 minute across the entire hour. Snippets of these women. Snippets of how they're going after this. And you can elaborate more on Dark Elevation. Make sure that they are on Rampage. And they focus on Rampage to mean that this show is where it's at for women who are after the TBS title, and it means something. It has to be that way. The current world title stays on Dynamite, but it does not mean that the main title can't go to Rampage anytime it wants, because the women who are on Rampage still can go over to Dynamite and back and forth. And you can't say that at this moment Britt Baker can't go to Rampage anytime she wants, because she is the champion. She's over the TBS champion. It's a mid-tier Carter title. No problem. That is how it's going to be and always going to be. She knows that this title is under her title. Flat out, that's the way it goes. And it's going to stay that way. So she can go either show or Elevation or Dark to show that she can go anywhere she wants. If it's Jade Cargill who's champion of the AEW champion, or Thunder Rosa, or Ruby Soho, it doesn't make a difference. She goes to every show, all four of them, and show that she can do anything she wants. Look and scout for people to either join her or that she can face on Dynamite as fresh meat, because that is important. Fresh meat for the heavyweight champion is key. Having someone up here, sometimes you need jobbers from here that come up from there. You need the champion to go to those shows to look for them, or that when she's there, someone wants to try and do something. So she'll do a match on Dynamite doing that. But when it comes to the TBS champion, she has the workhorse title. She's going to have to bust her ass every week to make sure that whoever is her next opponent does not get her title. That's where it goes. Now, here's where it gets interesting in my point of view. This is what I think. I want to make the TBS title similar to Option C. Now, that means like the NWA TV champion, where they do 7 matches. If they win, they cash in the title for a title shot at the champion. This is where I want to see it. Throughout the entire year, the TBS champion is always defending. Always. But before a signature pay-per-view, I would say they are given the option to surrender the title and go after the champion. Now, this is where both titles are going to be at the same time. It's the only time you're going to see the TBS champion as well as the world champion on the same pay-per-view at the same time. And this is where it would be. So the person who held this title before the signature pay-per-view, like All Out, would surrender it at least 2 months ahead of time or a month ahead of time, and then they start the tournament to see who's going to become the next champion for the next whole year. A whole year. Where the champion, they could lose the title, regain it, lose it, but still by the time at the end of the year, once it swings around again, they get the option to go and face the world champion, which will give, and understand, you want to build the people who are in the mid-card to the main event. And also give the people who are in the main event, who's been there for a long time, a reason to get back in the main event. So after they've been there for a while, they go all the way down, and then they start trying to make their way back up to the TBS title. And if they make it to the TBS title and they grab it just at the right time, they can jump right back up into the main event. And then either face a champion, win or lose, or after All Out, they stay in the main event and they have some feuds in between that, which will give them something to work with. That's the way it should be. Giving people here the option to go here after they build themselves up beyond what they were in the beginning of the year. This, I believe, would be the best formula for the TBS title, for the women. Because when have you heard women going down this route? You haven't, because there's never been a mid-card for the women. And I want you to make this understandable. Yes, there are probably promotions for women that have a mid-card title. Like Shimmer probably has a mid-card title. But Shimmer is not internationally and nationally known like the WWE, TNA, or now AEW. As much as Shimmer is a strong company, I did look at their pay-per-view once or twice a while ago. They got some good women there, and they got mid-card title for women. But still, they're not on a big platform compared to like ROH, AEW, Impact Wrestling TNA, and WWE, and they just don't got it. So this will be the first time, as far as I know, there's been a mid-card title just for the women, and if they book it right with the right amount of women, with the right booking, will be something special. But this is just my point of view, and I hope you enjoyed this Gump report. Please give me a comment below, give me a like, give me tell someone to subscribe. I don't know, just tell them on Twitter or something. Hey, this guy actually has some decent ideas. Give him a shot. I hope you enjoy this. Peace.